Alright, today we're going to go through some triads, and if you have played a piano before, you know that it is 3 notes that make up a chord. And I'm going to do some oddball triads because on a guitar, the guitar, the way it's strung, not much is just straight in a row. So when you do it straight in a row, like down the strings this way, well, this is really up in pitch. Up, the neck is in pitch, down the neck. I try to always reference everything by pitch. I haven't really been saying that, but I really do. So when you're going up the neck, that's going up because the pitch is going up, and it doesn't sound like mainly what maybe you would do on a piano just by going to the next key. But the next string on a guitar is 4 pitches different, so that's one of the main differences. Guitar is just like a piano on one string. Like this string, that's like what a piano would be. You know, this would be, this is one key, next key, next key, next key, like on a piano. But then when you drop to here, you're going 4, you're skipping 4, and then going 1, 2, 3, 4, like that on the, you know, if you were doing it on a piano. That's the difference. Okay, so on the guitar, you've got the 4-note gap when you change strings, except when you go from the G to the B. Then it's a 3-note gap. It's a 3rd difference, and then it's back to a 4th difference. So when we're doing these triads, it's not going to necessarily sound super cool. Some of them sound neat. This one sounds like a song. Because if you think about blues songs, if you know anything about them, a lot of times it's a 1, 4, 5 pattern, like that's your basic blues type pattern, 1, 4, 5. So the 1 and the 4 of the first part of this triad does sound cool together. Then it gets weirder and weirder as it goes down, or up in pitch, that is, though. So what this is also, I try to always pick something that helps with coordination and strength. And so this one is really simple as far as you're only working in these 2 fingers at first. We're going to go through each finger, these 2 fingers at first, and it's going to be very monotonous at first until you get this down and can have a little more fun with it. But you're starting off with your middle finger, and then to the, and then. So that's it, and then at each string change, when you get to, this is your indicators, your pointer, you just go to the next one. Now it's actually more confusing in a sense going down, because you have to drop everything. It looks easy like that, but once you get going faster and faster, it's easy to forget that all you have to do is drop down. So right now we're going to start off real slow at 40 beats per minute. If you have a 7-string. Also, your strumming pattern. There's a couple ways you can do this. You could do the up, down, which you should always do when you're picking. The faster you go, the more necessary it is to pick up and down. For this one, you can actually practice a 3-note sweep going like you just push it straight through, just like that. And then you drag it back down. It's really a 3-note sweep, real simple. And if you do practice it that way, eventually you're going to be able to go, and it's going to be like really fast and easy. And then if you want to do more staccato sound, sorry, I was using the wrong finger. Mute it at the bridge. That's the palm muting. And really, you should try to learn, if you're just now learning, try to go ahead and just leave your hand closed. Like, not closed fisted, but just with your fingers closed in. And that way you never get reliant on a certain spot. I was taught way back in the day to plant my finger somewhere and move around that and use that as your pivot point or like guide. But look at that, if you're really pushing over too far or something, or if you don't really get a good spot and you get in a bad habit, it's easy to get in a bad habit and get your pinky all weird. I still do sometimes I'll curl under my pickup, just if I'm in a certain spot. But I'm trying to get out of that habit. I'm trying to roll my fingers in, but using the bridge as my reference point, and basically kind of staying in the middle and then rolling back and forth a little bit. People realize better ways to do things all the time, and I'm not one to stick with something just because. If there's a better way, I want to do it better. I'm learning to do this, and even if I'm not doing it as like every time, I still want, as soon as I start feeling it kind of get weird, where my pinky gets rolled under or something when I'm picking, then I try to force myself to pick it up, do something different. Another reason why you don't want to leave it planted is because you can't pick as fast. You're basically fighting against your muscles and tendons and everything, your whole hand, your ligaments, your bones are moving. You can't pick as fast if you're planted. Some people do this shake thing like this, and they can do it pretty good. But I mean, if you like people like Van Halen, he goes like this, he can pick really fast, and he basically goes like that and just goes nuts on it. That's not my technique. Mine is more focused like that. I'm trying to get less movement and more accuracy. But see, it's still even a habit for me to plant something and kind of get a spot. So I'm working on that. I'm at least trying to move. If anything, move your fingers. If you're already, I say the steps are, if you're already used to having a point spot, a point of reference, just move it more often for each string or something. Move it around a little bit. And eventually that will get you used to moving your hand like this, and then you won't be dragging it and such. Okay, back to the lesson. So, at this speed, I'm typically picking each one instead of like pushing through. In the end, really, it'd be good to alternate. Like pick some of them and push through some of them, like pick separately. And then some of them, if you think about it, just push it and pull it back and forth. And that's how you learn sweeping anyway. So, always trying to pack as much into these lessons as possible, especially when you're doing something simple here. You should maximize everything you can when you play. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that beats per minute, BPM, and I'm going to now do the same thing but with the ring finger. See, so some of those sound interesting. And the chord on a piano would be like this. And I'm letting off this finger just to let the string mute faster, so it doesn't just ring out so much. See, I could leave it on there and mute like I just did, but I'd rather get a clean tone and then mute it as I'm pulling off. And the string is actually going to touch my index finger, the bottom underneath there, and pretty much mute it, except there's a harmonic there. But so here we go at 40 beats per minute. And as usual, we're actually strumming eighth notes. Actually, I wasn't strumming eighth notes, I was doing 16th notes, I'm sorry. I need to go twice as slow. I haven't done lessons in a while. Okay, since I kind of jacked that one, I was thinking another thing, keep adding stuff, but along the lines of keeping practice fun, exercise fun, is finding that note, like I've mentioned before. Once you go through, when you're going through a pattern, try to find a transition note that you can go to just for the sake of your ear and your brain, if it gets monotonous especially. Even pick random ones if you have to, but you can go like this. Okay, and in line with doing, picking something, you're bending it. A full step up. That's here. That's here. So I'm bending it a full step up. It's called vibrato, or bending the note in and out of pitch. Go. So sometimes I do that as well. Okay, try again. 1 and 2 and pinky. Same idea. Hey, wait a minute, you don't have your guitar. Yeah, you, get your guitar. I'm waiting. Alright, if you can have your guitar in these lessons, that would be great. It'll help you out a lot. Otherwise, this might put you to sleep or drive your neighbors crazy, and you don't get much benefit from it unless you play with it. Okay, pinky time. 1 and 2 and... Oh, isn't that gorgeous? That's just beautiful. Anyway, I'll do that one again, sorry. And 3 and... Instead of going to a note, I'm just going to keep going. Instead of bending a note or something. Okay, like halfway through I started thinking, well, you don't have to just pick a note and just bend it or whatever, or go whatever. You can just keep going all the way through and then change all the way through, change. It's not so bad to do that when you're at your pinky. It's not quite so boring in a sense because you have to focus more anyway. So what are we doing? We're going to bump it up to 50 and start over. 50 BPM. Let me know how the metronome sounds. I've done it, the last one I did it with the metronome not facing the camera. This time I'm going to do it facing out. Let me know if it makes any difference at all. 1 and